Hey everybody, it's Rob and Cam here again with First Friday's HI-5. We have our special guest, Bryan Stine, with us today. Bryan is the Senior Vice President of Sales and Operations at the Fort Wayne Mad Ants. Bryan, thanks so much for being here, buddy.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
How are you guys doing today with all this whole quarantine thing?
You know, today was a beautiful day. The sun
Oh,
was
yeah.
out, almost 60 degrees. I think my wife and I and our little daughter, we took 3 walks today.
Oh, wow.
And in our neighborhood, I think everybody was out. So nobody's going to work. Nobody's doing anything right now, but everybody's taking walks. But we are keeping our social distancing. That is important.
But isn't it cool that everybody's waving at each other again?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy, but okay, we're going to run 5 questions by you in the next few minutes. And Cam, take it away, bro.
All right, so question 1, Bryan. Thanks so much for being a part with us today. Bryan, who would you say has been your greatest influence on you as a leader?
That is a fantastic question, Cam. And I would be remiss if I didn't actually mention the gentleman on this call right now, Mr. Rob Key himself.
Oh, wow.
That was a softball question.
I told you it was. I told you it'll start easy.
You are too kind, my brother. Too kind.
Rob, you set this up, man. This is good stuff. But no, Rob is, I would consider Rob to be a mentor. I think everybody knows, anyone who knows Rob knows that he likes to get coffee with you. And so as soon as you get to know Rob, he's going to take you to a coffee shop. He's introduced me to more coffee shops here in Fort Wayne.
Understatement.
The one thing about Rob is that he is a genuine person, and he truly not only wants to get to know you, but he truly wants to help you without anything in return. And if there's one thing that I've learned from Rob in the little over a year that we've gotten to know each other, it's to just be a genuine person and to care more about the outcomes for others than for yourself. And if it wasn't for Rob, I'm not sure that I would have that outlook today as I'm a leader in the Fort Wayne Mad Ants organization and as I go out and meet with others. But I think especially during this time, that is extremely timely advice, because one thing that's helped me with is, just reaching out to people during this time to make sure that they're doing okay. Nothing more than, I'm not trying to, give them a sales pitch or have them come on board with the Fort Wayne Mad Ants for anything. My true desire for people during this time is just to make sure they're doing okay. So I've put into practice to at least try to reach out to one business contact and one family member during this time. And I learned that from Rob. Rob is the person who's kind of mentored me to help me understand that it's the outcomes for others that is more important than outcomes for yourself. And Rob truly lives that out on a daily basis. He's lived that out with me. And it's been fun for me to try to put that into practice for myself as well.
Wow, I am completely humbled, my brother. You are as great a blessing to me as you've just said about me. So thank you, and all glory to God and His Son Jesus Christ, of course. But thank you for that. Okay, let me get my head around the second question now.
I did not think that, Rob.
Okay. All right, brother. You've got your hands full. I mean, I have seen you at the games. I've even snapped pictures of you and sent them to you just to show you, man. You go from one end of that court to the next. Like, I'm trying to follow you. Where'd Bryan go?
It is a little creepy to get a text message with a picture sometimes, but I give you grace on that, Rob. It's great. I love it.
Okay, so with all that busyness, you've got a wonderful wife. You've got a beautiful daughter. At the end of the day, how do you de-stress? I mean, share that with us so that we can kind of get a new tool of how to do that.
It really is. The de-stress for me is really spending time with my wife and with my daughter. Our daughter Savannah is actually turning 1 on Saturday, so we are brand new parents, and we've absolutely enjoyed uh, just becoming parents and going through that process for the first time. I would also kind of go back to the first question that you asked me about, a mentor that's giving you great advice. Rob was also a person who has really instilled in me to put Jesus Christ first, number one, first and foremost. But right after that, my wife Kayla, and then right after that, my daughter Savannah, and then comes work. And if there's anything I've learned, especially in the last year or so, in Rob mentoring me, it's that I can de-stress and put everything away. When I get home, it's time with Kayla, it's time with Savannah, and those are my joyous moments of the day. And I tend to get a lot more energy when I'm around Kayla and Savannah, and it even energy if I have more work that I have to finish up that night after we put Savannah to bed. I'm re-energized just because I've been able to play with Savannah or hang out with my wife and have a good conversation. But it really was Rob who really encouraged me to make sure that I'm putting family before work. And if that's not happening, I have nothing. If I lose my family, I don't have anything at this point. So, the job is important. All of the busyness and everything that you do to lead your team is very important, but leading your family is most important, and leading them in a way that honors God is certainly the way to do it. And I have Rob to thank for that wonderful advice, and just the fact that he's kept me accountable with that by all these different meetings at coffee shops. Usually the first question is, hey, are you making sure that you're putting Kayla and Savannah before your job? And he's done a wonderful job of keeping me accountable with that.
Praise God, you're doing a good job, brother. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Man, I don't even know how to follow. I'm gonna do my best. So you talk about how your inspiration is your family and where you get your energy from. So let's kind of segue, but still keeping on with energy, creative flow. So what do you do to encourage creative flow? And also, where else does your creative energy come from?
That's a good question. One thing I've learned about myself is when I am drained, I am not creative. And so there are practices that I put in place to make sure that I get the rest that I need. And sometimes I will intentionally, especially at work, sometimes what I'll do is I'll block out time in my calendar where it is only focused on, maybe it's planning for the following season. What I'll do in those moments is I will actually tell my team that, hey, for this hour or for these 2 hours here, I'm going to be planning for next season. I'm going to shut my door. I'm also going to turn off my email and my Microsoft Teams and all of the different communication methods. And but I only do that at times when I know that I'm going to be most energized. And so typically for me, that is pretty shortly after a weekend. Typically what I'll do is I'll try to take either a Monday or a Tuesday and use a portion of that day for planning for the following season or whatever it is that I have to do to be creative. And I want to make sure that I'm well rested and that, I do it after a weekend where I haven't necessarily been working. And I have been able to be energized by being around Kayla and Savannah and being around my family. And so I've found that I'm typically a little bit more alert, and it's a little bit easier for me to get into a flow if I've scheduled time and if I've done it after a period of rest. If I try to do it when it's been a chaotic week, or especially if I try to do it when there's been games that week and I've had really long days with game nights, it's just not going to work. So the nice thing about the current situation that we're in is that I'm working from home. And so I don't necessarily have people coming in my office other than Savannah, from, which is energizing for me. So I've actually found that this time has been really helpful in putting together some really good
Yeah,
plans for next season.
Mm,
I'm
awesome.
really excited about what that can look like.
that's awesome. Wow, what a great answer. Thank you, Bryan. Okay, question number 4. This is a tough one. You ready?
All right.
Okay, so just before we went to air here, went to record, you and Cam were really talking about this simpatico you guys have with being foodies, right?
Yes.
So I'm curious as to how a foodie navigates this COVID quarantine situation.
That is a tough question. Man, throwing curveballs here, Rob. So I actually had a really good conversation earlier today with Barry Schrock. So I hope Barry's watching. I'm going to give Barry a shout out here.
Awesome.
Barry was one of the people that I decided to reach out to today just to see how he was doing, and turned into about an hour and a half conversation. By the way, if you're looking for a new home, Barry is maybe in the near future putting his home up for sale, and it's a beautiful home. He sent me pictures, and he did a lot of the work himself on his unfinished.
It's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous.
Oh, man.
So he's looking for people to put some referral feelers out there for him. Anyway, he had this conversation today, and he, not myself, but he has done a really good job of utilizing some of the services, some of the food delivery services. I can't think of the different services off the top of my head, but different services where they will deliver straight to your door, but they're utilizing the different restaurants here in Fort Wayne. And obviously for Barry being a part of Greater Fort Wayne Inc., he's taking care of the businesses that are a part of the Greater Fort Wayne Chamber, which is absolutely so that's how he's doing it. My wife and I, we're trying a little bit more of trying to be better about cooking. And trying to learn some new skills during this time, which has been a great way to, be able to be together and spend some time together. So we haven't used that nearly as much, but I'm sure since this thing is going to potentially carry on longer and longer, I think I'm going to take Barry's advice and certainly use one of those food delivery services.
Thanks, bro. Good answer.
All right, Bryan, this is the final question. We've talked about leadership. We talked about food. One thing we have not talked about, surprisingly, which is sports, seeing how you work in sports. So me being the observant one that I am, I see you have a jersey in your back behind you. So, and also you work with 2 pro teams. So my question for you, and this is a HI-5 staple pretty much, is if you could break bread with anyone, who would it be? But before you answer it, I'm going to throw you a curveball.
Oh, okay.
If you could break bread with an athlete, who would it be?
There you go. Good.
Great question. Yeah. It would be my all-time favorite hero, Peyton Manning, quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts and the Denver Broncos. In fact, last night, sometimes I can't fall asleep right away, so I actually got on YouTube just to watch old Peyton Manning highlights, and it took me back to my days as a kid, watching Peyton, just be the sheriff and drive the Colts and the Broncos down the field. If I could break bread with somebody, I would love to just get into his mind. He was the most mentally astute quarterback I have ever witnessed.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just love to hear how he went about preparing for game days, how he went about leading his team. And I'm sure he would have some pretty entertaining stories along the way, especially with just how many commercials he's done that's been so funny. Yeah. If I could break bread with anybody, it'd certainly be Peyton Manning.
Oh, that is fantastic.
Awesome.
Well, Bryan, that is our 5 questions we have for you, and we want to say thanks so much for taking the time to hang out with us.
Thank you.
And Cam,
what's up?
If I can interject something real quick, just a fun fact about Bryan that a lot of people may not know.
Okay.
If any of us had the awesome opportunity of taking in the concert with the Newsboys, it was just last month, and an incredible game before the concert. It was the Faith and Family Night. And the guy that we're interviewing right now, Bryan Stine, was really the man behind the moment. I mean, he was all over that place. He made it happen. It's my understanding, I think we had one of the best sellout nights that we've ever had with the Mad Ants games in that stadium. And the energy in that place, before we even got to the concert, the energy was awesome. I mean, just fantastic. And so I just want to say, Bryan, thank you on behalf of thousands of people, literally, in the Fort Wayne area, including my family, that had the opportunity of being able to take part in that. It was wonderful. Your work does not go unnoticed. So that's a fun fact about our buddy Bryan Stine.
Thank you very much, Rob. That literally was probably my most fun project that I've gotten to work on in my short career up to this point so far. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work, but it was to see all the different churches and organizations come out and have such a great time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you guys heard it here first. If you need a hype man, call Bryan. If you need a foodie, call Bryan. And if you need just an all-around great guy, don't call me, call Bryan.
No, call Cam.
But if you want some courtside tickets, you can definitely call Bryan, guys. Bryan, thank you so very much.
Thanks, bro.
Cannot wait to meet you in person. Can't wait for this whole COVID pandemic is over so we can get some grub and we can break bread, my friend.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, guys. Oh, you guys know what time it is, right?
High five.
All right. So in 3, 2, 1, high five.